Hi, this is Alice Musser. This is your week 2 lecture. So this week you will have a CCP where you meet with your CSA and complete a document, and you'll need to send that to me in Moodle. Please feel free to talk about yourself, what you discussed with your CSA, how you feel about that. Take this opportunity to learn how to sell yourself. It's really a great tool to use for that. You'll have a Word document that you'll have to do. It's titled St. Agnes Family Health. You actually have the starting document, but you'll have to modify it in Word. So I'll discuss some Word things here in this lecture we'll go through. You'll also have an Excel assignment, and with that there's actually 2 parts. And the thing about Excel is if it is asking for you to do a formula or a function, please do the formula or function. I do not accept an Excel spreadsheet where the numbers are just typed in. You're here to learn more about Excel than just typing in numbers into a cell. And then you'll have a Word test, an Excel test, and then another typing test. So keep going on those type erasers. They're really fun. And you'll have to send another screenshot showing that you've completed at least 5 races. So in Word, you have one of the first things that you have to do is figure out your fonts. How do you accept a font? Now, I'm doing this lecture on my iPad, so the Word version here is slightly different. So I have some screenshots here of Word where you can actually see where the fonts are and everything. So if I go over here to Draw, so these are the fonts, and it's actually a pull down. And you can see all the various fonts that you have. And there's a whole bunch of them. You keep going and going and going and going and going, and you'll see them all. This would be the size of your font, the number. So that will change on this assignment. You'll have to pick some of them that you need. And then you'll want to learn about spacing and everything else. So another cool tool with Word is this Format Painter. The Format Painter is right here, and that is whenever you just want to copy the format of something. So you'll highlight a word, and then you'll click this little Format Painter and then highlight another word. It doesn't copy the word that you highlighted, it only copies the format that's with it. Once you learn how to use that tool, it is really a cool tool and you'll really like it. Words, you have spacing. So here's where you can put your spacing things that you have. This is the little button right here. And then 1, 1.5, 2, and so forth. If you pull out the little, there's a little corner up here that's probably hidden now. You'll get this paragraph pop out. And there you can do spacing where you have before and after points. And this after is actually in your assignment, so you'll want to pay attention to that. Then you have tabs and indents, bulleting, numbering. These are all right here in the paragraph. This is the little thing I was talking about on the previous page. If you click on that, it pulls out a whole nother pop-up with different choices. Bullets, you can have fun with that. You can select different bullets. In your assignment, you're given specific ones, but that's where you would do it. I'm going to pop over here to Word on my iPad, and I'm just going to show you a couple things. So when you select the fonts, you can actually, there's so many. Now, they're not all downloaded on my iPad because I don't use Word a whole lot on my iPad. But this is where you would go and you would select whichever one you're looking for. So I have Calibrini on mine. This is the font size. You can make it bigger by touching this. You can actually scroll down and select it as well. And then whenever I type new, you can see how this portion that I just did is now larger because that's what I ask it to do. All right, so let's go back here to home. So you have bold, italics. So if you double tap on any word, it'll highlight the word. If you triple tap, it actually does the whole sentence. And then you can bold it. You can italicize it. You can underline it. And that's where you'll be doing those options. And you saw where I selected those up here at the top. Here are your bullets numbering. So if I was to come here and do another one in another line space and I wanted to do bullets, I could select a check and then I could say bullet 1. If you just hit enter, it takes you to the next line based on what your spacing is. So if you want to change your spacing, you can select your bullet, select them both, come back over to home, and I don't have the spacing option here. No. Yeah, those are the styles. But you would then just select your spacing option and tell it how much you wanted it to be. The insert function, so this is where if you're inserting, you would want to do, sometimes you want to do a table. So then it automatically puts in a table, and you can tell it on the computer one a little bit better. You can tell it 2 by 2, 4 by 4, whatever. And then you can do insert. You can insert a row above. You can insert a row left or below. Insert a column to the left or insert a column to the right. And you'll learn all about that. Drawing you saw me use. Layout is something that is really popular. If you want to do multiple columns, this is where you want to do it. And then if you want to do page breaks, this is where you'll do it under breaks. So your tabs here at the top are very important. If you want to view it as a one page or a page width, that's where you would select it as well. I'm going to go back and undo and take that out. So that's real quick, high level Word. You'll learn how to use it. Word will become your friend. You'll use it in a lot of things as you move forward through college. All right, so let's talk about Excel now. Excel, I find, is something that intimidates people if they're not familiar with it. Don't let it. Just keep in mind, Excel is a very powerful tool, and you can use it to do very, very cool things. And you can use it to do a lot of various things. When you don't want to add numbers manually, Excel is the tool you want to come to. So I'm going to highlight a few things for you. So if I sit here on the line that I have titled as total, and I have it there in cell A6, I'm going to come over and you just see I have some numbers typed here. This auto sum button right here is a really cool feature. You want to learn how to use your auto sum button. You can say sum it. And then it'll say, oh, okay, what numbers do I think that they want to sum? And in this case, it selected the right thing. And then you can just hit enter. Now the beauty of this is if they select the wrong thing, you can change it. So I'm going to use the auto sum button again, and I'm going to say sum, and I'm going to select that. Now, say here I wanted a grand total of my 186 plus my 200. So I'm going to do sum, and I'm going to do auto sum. Well, now it doesn't know what. So there are several things you can do. You can type in B7, comma, C7, and hit enter. And obviously that didn't work because in the formula up here in the top, you can see I needed to place in a plus. Hit enter, and that still didn't work. Well, that's baffling. So let's do this. Let's undo. And you'll learn, not everybody's perfect. My iPad works very different. So I'm just going to say sum. And then I'm going to select that column, that one, hit enter. That didn't let me add more than one number. Number 2, there we go. So you can see how it was looking. And then I hit enter, and it's 386. That's correct. The other thing that you can do is you can say equals, and you can just place in here B6 plus C6 and then hit enter. That's the same thing. Anytime you start out in the cell saying equal, you're telling Excel, I'm going to give you a formula. You could say, you could say B6 minus C6. You could say equals C6 times B6. So whatever you want to do, you're able to do it. Now, the other cool thing, so some other things that you'll use in Excel as well, is the average. You saw here that you could select average. So if you do this, it's going to ask you which ones do you want to do the average on. Now, I said earlier you can change this, and you can. I don't want to do the average on the total line. I only want to do the average on so B1 through B5. And so if I am down here and I say auto sum the average, it's not letting me, I can't grab this little dot. See the dot up here? I can grab it and move it, but I can't grab this dot at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say equals average, and then in parentheses I'm going to put B1 through B5. And you can see when you type it in, it actually highlights the cells that you're doing that. And then I'm going to hit enter, and that didn't work. So it doesn't like me today, obviously. I don't know. And you can see how I can click up at the top. And it doesn't like me. Wow, this is interesting. So I just did average and hit enter. And you can see here the reason why I was actually abbreviating average. So now I can actually go in here. The beauty of this is, so as I'm instructing you, you can actually see where I can change the 7 B1 to, and that's a semicolon, B5, and hit enter. And there you go. The average is 372. Now, once you have it, the nice part about it is you could just grab this cell. And again, it's kind of being, not letting me do it here. So on my iPad, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to move over to this one. I'm going to hold, and then I'm going to say, well, it no longer is copying this one, but you can do copy and a paste. Now, notice that when I copied and pasted it up here, it's not letting me draw up there, but up here at the top, it changed the cell references to C1 because I didn't have an absolute there. Remember, an absolute one is if you're going to say equals average. An absolute is denoted with a $sign, C1, and I'm going to do that C, absolute 1 through absolute C, absolute 5. And then what that does is that never changes the cell references. I can copy them all I want, but because I told it absolute with that $sign, so anytime you use a $sign, that equals absolute. And your book talks about that. Okay, let me take a look here. I apologize, my iPad is a little bit different. But let me take a look here for inserts. So you would insert a table the same way. With here, you can have shapes. So sometimes you just want to bring in a shape and you want to do it for whatever reason. You can do that. I'm going to undo that. Here's your formulas. So we already talked about the auto sum, and here it gives max and min as well. So down here, if we say in the min, I'm going to do my auto sum and I'm going to say min. It wants to know which cells. And I'm going to select those cells. And then it tells me, oh, your minimum number is 15. And then the same for the max. I select max, and then I select my cells. And if I don't use my Apple Pencil, it works out so much better. It tells me the max number. You will have to do those, and you'll learn how to do those, and those will be nice. There's functions out here as well. We don't really get into them much in this course, but in a future Excel course you can. And then what is not on my iPad is conditional formatting. So you'll have conditional formatting that you'll have to do in your Excel spreadsheet in one of the assignments. So you'll want to make sure that you look at that and learn how to do it. And here I just go through some things on how to create the formula, selecting the auto sum, using the equal sign, and that is Excel. So take your lecture quiz, contact me with any questions that you have. I'm always available. Send me a text, and thanks. Have a great day.